Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking and Craft. Today on our YouTube channel we're actually showcasing two of our stamps. You'll see them in a minute. At the moment I'm just gessoing in an altered book. I love to work in altered books as my art journals. So just using some Black Gesso to put that background, that map, it wasn't really a map page, it was more the index page sort of at the back of the book into the background. I still want to see a little bit of it, so I like a little bit poking through. But I do like the coating of gesso. So as I said, we're showcasing two of our stamps today, our Squiggle Heart and our Squiggle Circle. They are available on our website. I will link them below. They're foam stamps, but they are great for art journaling, scrapbooking, card making. You can use them with either ink or paint. You can even use them on a gel plate, so they're really, really versatile. We also do make things to order as well, so we can customise our chipboard stencils or foam stamps if you're interested. Just email us and ask. The worst we can say is no. The only thing we usually say no to is trademark items. So I'm actually working with some Distress Oxides today. I do like using the Distress Oxides on gesso surfaces because then they are a bit more water reactive and you get more of a dramatic effect. And if you don't have a complete coverage of your gesso, it gives a really cool effect as well. So just using some of the colours to put down with one of the Tim Holtz blending tools. Just basically wanting to cover the entire surface with random colours and sort of blending them in a bit. The oxides do stay wet a little longer, so you can blend them together. And on top of the gesso, they stay wet even longer than putting them on just raw paper. I do apologise, I can't actually name the colours, but if you desperately need to know the colour names, I can go and find out for you. The screen that I'm viewing when I'm doing a voiceover is very small, and I did do this art journal page a couple of months ago, so I'm not sure what colours I use. Isn't that terrible? I was not sold on the oxides until I used them on gessoed surfaces and dark surfaces, so I do some of that in the video as well. There goes my left hand because the right hand was getting sore. And I do apologise about the shaking of the camera. My tripod is attached to the table, so every time I shake the table, unfortunately my tripod shakes as well. Tried to rectify that coming into 2019. So there are the two stamps. So there's a squiggle star stamp and the squiggle circle. I actually don't end up using the circle on this page. I end up just using the star. So just pressing it into an ink pad like I'd use a regular stamp and pressing it onto the page. I wasn't sure where this page was going when I first started. I know I just wanted to use the stamps. I often do that. I pick a couple of products to play with, the oxides and the stamps, and just go for it. And eventually an art journal page comes together. Or a beautiful background, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. But this one worked out to be really cool. It's one of my favourite pages. I just love how the oxides go on. So you can actually get 3rd and 4th generation stamping, as you can see me doing there. I'm not re-inking the ink on the foam stamp. It does hold a lot of ink, so you can get like the faded look of 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation stamping, which makes this page have a lot of depth, which I like. Sorry if this sounds a bit choppy, I had two videos around the wrong way. So just drying off the ink. The oxides are a bit juicy and stay wet for longer, so you just have to give them a good dry. So I grabbed an image from a tourist magazine in our local town. I love collecting tourist brochures. Sometimes you find the weirdest and wackiest pictures in them, and they're free. That's the best thing about them. So pop down to your local tourist information brochure and see what you can find. You never know what you find in the brochures. So I just found this little picture of basically a lady's hat and her back. So sticking it down with some Liquitex matte gel medium. Have to be a bit careful when using oxides and water-based mediums because the oxide can reactivate and muddy up your picture. So it's just being quite careful. Now I decided to wanted some water droplets, so I sort of sprayed water into my hand and dropped bigger droplets down. And because I was working in a book, some of my droplets decided to go rolling down the page, which I didn't really want, but it happened, so it worked. So just rolling with a roller paper towel. I like to roll with the paper towel as opposed to sort of splat it on because it's a bit more controlled and your splats don't go everywhere. So just giving that a dry with the heat tool. I love that effect. So I went to Pinterest and Googled stars and quotes and come up with this quote, which is, on the darkest moment of your life, there are stars shining bright. So that's also when I picked that picture as well. So she's sort of, my vision for the page then became she's looking up at the stars. So I wanted the picture of the person very small and then the rest of the page very vast, like the universe, which I don't do many pages like this. Usually my focal images are quite large, so I am venturing out into doing some different things. So I grabbed some Montmartre Black Gesso, which is getting a bit thick, so I pop it on the page in a few spots, grab a makeup sponge and spread it around. I sort of wanted, because the quote said the darkest moments of your life, I sort of wanted a bit of darkness creeping in on the page, but I didn't want to have a lot of it. So art journaling can be very therapeutic. I obviously was having a bad week this week. Well and truly over it now. I did do this a couple of months ago. Some days things just annoy me. And art journaling, to sit down and turn up at my art journal and just play, is what I love to do. And a lot of my pages start out with playing, and then they end up as some of my favourite pages. And sometimes when I'm more intentional and exactly know what I'm going to do, I don't like the page. So you never know with art journaling what's going to happen. The main sort of fun, or the main purpose of me art journaling, is my time away from life and away from house chores, away from children, even though usually sometimes my daughter's sitting behind me on the couch doing things, or we're watching TV together and I'm art journaling at the table. So it's just time out for my brain and my creativeness. So I love how the black is now. So I'm just cutting up the quote. I just printed this on my LaserJet printer, which is really cool. So just cutting out all the words because I did want to space them out. And I go down and cut them down even further. I do like to use my computer for quotes because it does save a lot on letter stickers, and you can sort of type in what you want. I do sometimes use a Dymo label printer as well, but unfortunately I'm out of the tape that goes in it. I must order some more. So just working out where I want it placed, and I've decided to keep it on the left hand side just because it's sort of visually balanced the person being on the right hand side. So I decided I didn't like the stark whiteness, so I believe that might be wild honey, don't quote me on that, I can't read the lid, and decided to give them a bit of colour. It is one of the colours I used in the background. And I do apologise about the yawning. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, every time I sit down to do a voiceover, I yawn. I don't yawn at all during the day. It's about 9 o'clock at night, so I shouldn't be tired, but I will sit there all night and not yawn. As soon as I go to do a voiceover, I yawn. I don't know what it is. I apologise. So just adding a bit of blue to the edge just to make the words pop a little, because when I put them on, they sort of faded a little, and I didn't want to go around them with a water-soluble pen or anything like that, because I've got the oxides that I haven't sealed. They're still water reactive. So just doing the direct ink pad to paper test. Ink pad to paper inking, I should say. So then I grabbed some glue. So this is a Craft Spot glue. I would normally use matte gel medium, but because of the water reactiveness, I can't even talk, of the oxides, I just wanted to use some glue. This is great glue. I used a lot for chipboard and embellishments, and it's like $6 from Reject Shop. It is really good value here in Australia. I'm a bit of a brand snob. If I can find a glue like this in Reject Shop and it works just as well, I will use it over more expensive glues. I'd rather spend more money on more expensive, like other things like oxides that you can't find an alternative for. So just cleaning off the stamp. They clean off really nicely. Just give them a spray of water and just stamp until basically the colour's gone. I didn't want to contaminate my ink pad by putting the brown ink in. Now I'm just testing on a bit of the gesso to see how well that colour will stand out. And I do like the effect, and it looks so cool. I do have some Distress inks. I don't have the entire range, and I do have some Distress Oxides. And when I got the Oxides, I didn't quite like them until I started experimenting on black. And I love how they stand out on Black Gesso, on black cardstock, on darker cardstock. So now I'm sold. I want all the Oxides, but we'll get them eventually. I possibly don't use them enough to justify having all the colours. Not really a card maker. I'm more into art journaling and scrapbooking and stuff, but I must use them more in those medias. So we're just about coming up to the end. I just basically stamp stars or parts of stars all around the edge until I'm happy. And it also brings that element of stars from the middle out to the edge and sort of combines the whole page. Otherwise it looked a bit sort of disjointed when I did it. The outside border and the inside weren't cohesive. So I've got some close-up photos at the end. It is a bit shiny, so it's a little hard to see. I'm hoping to work on improving my still photos next year. And at the moment, I only take them on my phone, so I do the best I can. So as I said, I'll link this star stamp and that circle one you briefly saw from our store below. And leave us a comment or subscribe and like and share our videos. Thanks very much. Bye for now.